Input fields are tricky. We use them so often, we've gotten to a point where we started neglecting them and we don't even realize what makes a good input field versus what makes a bad input field. And this often leads us to make poor choices in the input fields we implement in our products. Let's talk about how to design better input fields. So the first thing to keep in mind when designing input fields is that you need to keep your labels visible all the time. Sometimes designers often make the mistake of using placeholders as labels, and that's very, very horrible because when a user starts typing into the input field, your label disappears, and that is very bad for user experience. Now, a better thing to do is this: have your labels outside the input instead of inside. That way, your label stays visible before and after the user inputs anything into that field. The second thing is to make sure that your error messages are very clear. This error message does not say what exactly is wrong with the form and why it wouldn't submit. So make sure that your errors are talking to the particular issue and placed where that problem is, instead of just being placed in an arbitrary place in a form. Do this instead, where you highlight the particular input field that has a problem and you state what exactly the problem with it is. So at first glance, looking at this input field, there's probably nothing obviously wrong with it, but there are two things I think can be improved on. First of all, the DDMMYY inside it is placeholder text, and that might be an issue for two reasons. First of all, placeholder text is bad for accessibility because a lot of screen readers have difficulty picking up what it says. Secondly, it's bad for recall because the moment you start typing into the input field, the placeholder text goes away. Second thing I think is potentially wrong with this input field is the possibility of receiving inputs that is not formatted properly. This may not happen if the developer sets up this input field correctly, but in a situation where this is just set up without proper constraints, you're going to have people typing in all sorts of things, and that will make the data you're collecting very disorderly. In a situation like this, what you might want to try is to use an input field design that constrains users to specific types of inputs that are very narrow and cannot go outside the scope of what you want them to supply you. And now you know.